As you can see, it's a morally blank world in which I'm free to do what I like, and it turns out that what I like to do is be antisocial.
Why'd you call me? You want my...
Now, I don't think I'm likely to confuse this with the actual world because it doesn't stink of foul human flesh. But as far as the rest of the media is concerned, what infuses games with their special satanic menace is the notion that they could be conditioning the player to perform these actions for real.
You could argue that by that logic, someone who spent the morning playing cheerful cartoon leap-em-up Super Mario World would spend the afternoon jumping on mushrooms and banging their head against bricks in search of magic coins. But then cheerful cartoon games like the Mario titles rarely get much coverage, especially when there's so much more disturbing stuff out there just waiting to upset news reporters and make horrifying reports like this.
Manhunt 2 is a new video game where the player gets physically involved in the violence.
So your emotions are recreated in the game?
This is correct. You can slaughter them in an increasingly brutal manner. As you can see, he's curled up in the fetal position and we're still whacking away.
I mean, that's pretty violent.
That's correct.
Thanks to technological progress, the nasty stuff now looks nastier than ever.
It's a long way from beat 'em and eat 'em to modern sex games, such as the seriously creepy Japanese molestation title Rayplay, for instance.
It's a similar case with violence. That's evolved too.
Oh, so much for tennis. But now, if you're a bad loser and feel like shooting your opponent, you can always take to rifle practice.
Of course, shooting at dots wouldn't offend or disturb anyone, except maybe a particularly sensitive dot. Whereas modern video game gunplay is routinely portrayed with a frequency and bloodthirsty relish you simply wouldn't get away with in a film or TV show.
Something like Call of Duty World at War here is a brilliantly constructed game, but it's also psychotically ferocious and astronomically tasteless. But even though my brain tells me this is horrible, I can't deny that I enjoy it. I just wouldn't really want someone to walk in and catch me enjoying it, which makes it just like loose women, basically. Ooh. Still, even to a psychopath like me, some modern releases are so deliberately unpleasant I find them too depressing to play through. Take the grisly atmospheric Condemned 2, for instance, in which you play an alcoholic ex-cop who has to stagger around this horrifying environment, swigging from bottles and fighting tramps with their bare hands. If you're playing this for escapism, you're probably Scottish.
But if I find it hard to stomach, millions of others don't. Here we see grisly action-packed footage from the game Fear 2, uploaded to YouTube by a fan who's provided his own unsettling commentary over the top.
Today, I'm going to dedicate a video to my favorite weapon, and this is Sniper. You can see how the head rips off and the blood everywhere. This is amazing. Die, die, die! Can you smell the burning flesh? I can.
Now, I'm not saying he's mental, but he should probably be forced to cleanse his palate afterwards by playing something like this pleasant neighbourhood simulator on the Wii.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Ooh, see, isn't that lovely? Doesn't exist, mind.
Anyway, not everyone likes violent games. This is the downright revolting Mad World on the Wii, and here's singer-songwriter and video games reviewer Rebecca Mays with a musical review of it.
Here at last, a hardcore game on the Wii that's nasty, stylized violence that we call comedy, like Itchy and Scratchy, like Tom and Jerry. I just stabbed a guy through the eye with a road sign, pulled out his heart with my bare hands. Do I feel alright? No, I feel dirty. There's really something quite unnerving about all the blatant puffing and the disturbing commentary. You train way too hard, like a disillusioned nerd who thinks chainsaws and swear words will make you the coolest kid in school. It's far too short and the weapons are far too few, and I have to redo the whole level, so I give you a headbutt with the nunchuck. I feel giddy, visually it gets crazy busy, and my heart feels dizzy in this sadistic comic book. You're trying way too hard, like a disillusioned nerd who thinks chainsaws and swear words will make you the coolest kid in school.
Rhythm action game, loose musical simulation in which the player must perform actions in time to music in order to succeed.
Musical games were first popularised in the late 90s by the hallucinatory Parappa the Rapper for the PlayStation. There's been a huge explosion in rhythm action games recently, thanks to the success of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, with the Fab 4 joining the ride with the release of the Beatles Rock Band spin-off.
The release of the Beatles Rock Band game is a true watershed moment for video games because it's probably got the biggest crossover appeal of any game ever, apart from that one where you push smiling class in a canal, which unfortunately I've just made up. The idea is that you, yes you, seize control of the Beatles and strum, bash or warble your way through their entire musical career, from their stompy origins in the Cavern Club through to their rooftop swan song. To take part, as well as the game itself, you'll need one of the guitar controllers or the drum kit or a microphone, or preferably all of the above. It's really designed to be played by 4 people at once, and if you are playing on your own, for God's sake, don't let anyone walk in and catch you, because there's no way you can strum a plastic guitar and maintain your dignity. Anyway, the game mechanics will be familiar to anyone who's played Rock Band or Guitar Hero. You have to hit the notes at the right time as they flow down the centre of the screen there. I think that's basically what proper musicians see in their heads as they play. Do it right and it all sounds good, mess it up and it all starts to sound pretty bad. It's essentially formalised air guitar. It's actually a really compelling illusion because within seconds of picking this up you really do feel as though you're playing with a modicum of ability. I could have been in the Beatles, it's a piece of piss. Oh yeah, look, I think those girls like me. Yeah. Bloody. I'm a grown man, 38. You can also sing if you plug in a microphone, although it's difficult to do all of them at once. We all live in a yellow, red, blue, green.
Visually, it's all very striking, with stylized Thunderbird-like Fab 4 avatars performing in a series of live venues to start with.
Later they retreat to the studio, which is the point where they took lots of drugs, although they don't show them doing that.
Instead, that period's represented by showing them starting off in Abbey Road before apparently coming up on something or other, at which point everything gets heavily trippy before slowly returning back to Earth.
Although when you're actually playing, you're so focused on the unrelenting corridor of notes in the centre of the screen, they could replace all the stuff around the edges with footage of Simon Mayo defrosting a veggie burger and you'd be none the wiser. As a game, it's hardly challenging. If you do particularly badly, the song just stops. But the game isn't really the point. In fact, it isn't really a game at all. It's a fun experience. It's a different way of enjoying the music and a great illustration of just how broad games have become. It's as close as any of us are going to get to being in the Beatles. In fact, the only thing missing is the option to have a Japanese concept artist turn up 2/3 of the way through and sit in a corner ruining everything.
Well, viewer, that's about all we've got time for in this video game wipe type thing, and now here's Fred Harris from an old episode of Micro Live summing up our entire show in a flipping sentence as well.